Hello, and welcome back to ZALORA 2021 Trend Report Case Study Interview. Today we'll be discussing the arrival and growing influence of buy now, pay later payment approach, which, let's be honest, it's really changed the way consumers have shopped. Personally, I find this a breath of fresh air. Do you know the amount of times I've wanted to purchase something expensive but haven't quite got the budget for it? Like just going to a store or like going online and then browsing and you're seeing something, well, for me personally, it's a pair of shoes or like this really lovely bag that I really want to get, but it's always out of my budget range. But now with buy now, pay later, I can finally make all the purchase I want, kind of like Rihanna on a shopping spree. So now, without further ado, it's a pleasure to introduce to you Vangie, Vice President of Marketing at Atome. Welcome along, Vangie, and thanks for being here with us today.
Thanks for inviting me into the conversation, Amy. Glad to share.
Lovely. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So now, the concept of buy now, pay later isn't quite new, but why do you think it's gaining more traction now than it did before?
I think there are both pull and push factors with COVID-19 as a context and also a very great accelerator for this new service. So when I say pull and push factors, right, it's from both the merchant side, like supply side, and then the consumer side. So from merchant side, we really see that more merchants can feel and then witness the value proposition in adopting the buy now pay later services. For example, they actually value Atome as an omnichannel retail solution, which means cover the full consumer journey from online to offline. So we definitely help them to drive the traffic and sales from a younger and new digital savvy consumers, right? Especially, this is especially important during the COVID-19 with falling the traffic for offline retail and shopping malls. So they definitely see the value. And also with the buy now pay later service, we pay to the merchants in full. Of course, with some of the like merchant discount and some of the collaboration spending. So it also helps to stabilize and sustain the cash flow to meet the operation expenses, right? Not mentioning definitely with this also drive the profitability for the merchant as well. From the demand side, consumers also need a new way to buy and shop to manage their budget. So for the young generations, when we talk about Gen Z and young millennials, actually they value a lot the flexibility to manage their budget. It is even so with the COVID-19 situation, because the financial pressure is definitely increases a little bit. So they really look forward to this new service to maximize the flexibility and also getting the rewards, promotions, plus definitely a very simple, easy, and transparent way to use.
Yeah, I honestly think, BNP, buy now, pay later, it's very appealing to its, audiences like myself, millennials and Gen Zs. But from your perspective, do you think there are other, target audiences out there that are still, ready to be targeted upon? For example, maybe baby boomers, they might be someone that's just come into the game and, it's a huge market out there.
Absolutely. So actually, we have the customer profiling data, right? So we definitely has accumulated a lot of consumer insights as well. From the profile perspective, though I mentioned that probably like Gen Z and the young millennial is a very dominant profile, we also have a very much like a stretched demographic from young to elder. So the treasure the flexibility and also owning their choice of different merchants and also different payment terms. Actually, I think it's a common need across different demographics. So definitely true. We also see the similar trend, like it's across different categories, right? No matter it's fashion, beauty, or high bill categories like home and living, or even like smaller bills like some IT gadgets or even the small the daily stuff. I think because it's a very like massive appealing payment method, so actually it's very universally needed.
That's really interesting that you said that because I would assume that, more expensive, product categories, like for example, electronics, like a TV or like a sound system or like, a pair of really expensive shoes or heel, whatever there is. I would have thought that they would be, something that's more popular to be purchased as opposed to, like what you said, it happens across every product category. But do you think there are nuances that that we can sort of harness from your perspective? Any product categories out there that are doing far more popular than the rest?
So actually, we do see common popularity even across different categories. So we have more than 5,000 online offline retailers across different categories, right? So there are definitely some of the trend. We also understand like specific categories will definitely, let's say the trial barrier for consumers may be a little bit like lower. So if I give you a few examples that we actually collaborate with the merchant and then the trend, right? So we do see a very much increase with the COVID-19 as a context, right? We do see an increase in demand for the fixtures and technology gadgets to support working from home, right? Because we realize that the importance of investing and setting up the work desk, which maybe they didn't realize even before COVID-19. And then fashion and beauty products. I mean, yes, people reduce the chance of socializing others physically. However, you still have a strong need of connecting each other, connecting to your friends and also your colleagues. So, virtual like digital method becomes a norm. So you need to still need to show your a decent appearance and also show your style right in front of the digital camera. We call it like Zoom friendly look, right? So we see consumers continue to invest in these products as this continue to be relevant for this work from home or even during the lockdown. The need of connecting with each other and present you in a proper way, also a very strong need. What's also quite interesting is the boom in hospitality category, which we think like travel restriction probably is declining, right? However, consumers are also spending in this category on areas such as staycay and local entertainment activities. And OTA, like travel abroad, is a bit restrained. However, we think, we can sense whenever the environment, the government measurement is loosened a little bit, we see the surge of the, they look forward to the travel, etc. I do think with the COVID situation becoming stabilized, I think definitely leveraging the buy now pay later. The last one but not least, the luxury fashion segment, right? Again, I think it's in line with our perception that the high bill, big bill offerings is definitely can leverage buy now pay later. So we drive very similar results, and although it's high value items, we have a very robust risk management technology that can assess the right suitable profit of shoppers.
I love how you mentioned, people are now starting to invest, because I had this conversation with a jeweler yesterday, and they were just talking about how they're really maximizing on now with COVID and everything, everyone's working from home, but people are actually buying jewelry to wear online for Zoom meetings. I love that aspect. I mean, not because I'm like a complete shopaholic and I love jewelry, but also because it's such an interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, even with kind of like restraints everywhere, right? Human need is still there. And then even when even you cannot be empowered to do a lot of things that you did frequently in the past, you still kind of hold a hope that I can do. And even so, when we experience a lockdown for such a long period, right? So they find their ways to fulfill their psychological and emotion needs. So that's why we see some of the categories they are also purchasing to fulfill their like emotional need. For example, connecting with others. For example, reward themselves. For example, connecting with the families. So I think this is some of the new opportunities definitely we have seen in the past 1.5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, another thing that goes back to that whole idea of communication, and I think that's something that's been missing since the beginning of the pandemic. It's that we can't go outside. There's a physical, that reality thing, because we've been living in lockdown for so long. That whole physical aspect of shopping is kind of like not forgotten, but it's being tucked away in the back of our heads. Now, you mentioned omnichannel, and with restrictions, kind of easing in various parts of the region. How can buy now, pay later bridge the gap between digital and brick and mortar channels?
This is also quite an interesting topic. So for Atome again, I think I mentioned at the first beginning, right? we never say we only focus on a certain channel, like no matter online, offline. We provide an omnichannel service. This service can be very easily integrated into physical POS website or mobile app. So consumers value having the flexibility, as I mentioned, right, to make the purchase either online or in the store. So we do help our merchant partners transit to the online and help them build their online sales when consumers are have some concerns on shopping offline. However, we also think that, even for the offline retail experience, it still remains very important in Asia, right? Because shopping in Asia is still done primarily in physical stores and shopping malls versus the online shopping. For example, in Singapore, 60% of our transactions are through the physical stores. So with COVID-19, definitely more are choosing to shop online, but eventually we do think shoppers still want to experience the physical store like a flagship concept, right? They need to see and feel the products. And finally, maybe they make a purchase no matter online, offline, but the physical touch and the feel of the offerings is still quite important. And this is also a social activity, right? You can hang out with your friend and hang out with your family when do the shopping. So that's why it was very important for us to offer our service in physical stores. Even from day one, we are doing that and then push very, very strongly. So this is very important for our retail partners who value the offline support we provide. We also invest very heavily and train our store ambassadors in some key merchant stores to explain how our service works and ensure a great customer and shopping experience, whether in store or on the mobile app. So in a nutshell, right, we know that online businesses with the online merchants actually surge pretty significantly in the past 1.5 years. Fundamentally, people will just have their choice and then make their fulfill their best need.
Awesome. So I guess in the same regard, right? How do you think buy now, pay later can also help brands scale their businesses? Because from a consumer's perspective, it's, flexibility is absolutely important for us. But what about on the retailers and brands' perspective? How can buy now, pay later help them scale their businesses?
Number one, consumers today value a seamless and personalized shopping experience, and also again the flexibility. We talk a lot about flexibility. This is really the deepest insight we've observed why people are choosing buy now, pay later. They want to choose no matter, whether online or offline, no matter it's which category. And also they also want to have the choice that I want to pay in the payment term, whether immediately I pay once off or want to choose a longer term payment period, right? So Atome provides businesses with omnichannel service allows them to enjoy the flexibility. Even we also have some of the early repayment service, so they can choose the term they want to pay for themselves. And on conversions, we also, number two, we also provide support on the conversions, right? Atome allows the user to split their purchase into interest-free deferred payments. So this allows consumers to stretch their budget and reduces the upfront cost. So this is definitely a tool for consumers to make more quality purchases and a higher likelihood for consumers to complete their checkout. So helping the merchants to increase the conversions and also reduce the drop off is definitely also the value that Atome is providing to the merchants. Number three, I think, because of the financial pressure, right, people will tend to make a more conscious choice and also maybe slow down a little bit on the frequency. So our in-app, we have a very good loyalty rewards program. We call it Atome Plus. So users can use the points that they earn from the purchases to redeem the vouchers and offset against the future transactions. This will further drive the traffic and the repeat purchase to the merchants so that they can see, they can drive the transactions and also the value together with Atome. And then the last one but not least, actually we are definitely one of a very different buy now pay later service. If compared with others, we differentiate ourselves from the other players on empowering the aspiration and lifestyle of young consumers. we really focus on driving a better user experience. We also provide service, we call it Atome Inspiration, which was quite new. We just launched a discovery community, providing the inspiring shopping options created by the huge amount of content produced by influencers and also even the consumers. So this one, right, significantly increased the stickiness of the consumers using Atome app. And then in the end, Atome is just an enabler to support the merchant success. So all the times and the traffic are flowing into the Atome app, actually we feed them back to the merchant so that consumers can shop in the merchant and then, have a even fast growing business together with us.
Yeah, I totally love that. And because like personally as a consumer as well, there's always, a choice between whether you want to do installments or buy now pay later with a bank, which is, has been around for a very long time. And then you have the Atome option and you have others. So, if you're in the UK, you have Klarna, you have so many different options. So this brings me to my next question. What sets buy now pay later providers, such as yourselves, apart from, the installment plans that are currently available by banks? What are the key differences here?
This is a very, very good question. Actually, we were asked by quite a lot of our merchants when the first beginning they hear, oh, actually you are providing this buy now pay later. It seems not new. However, what I want to share is it's definitely new. It's definitely different on three aspects. So the first one is, again, we talk about flexibility, right? Consumers really value flexibility. They want to own their choices, no matter it's choosing their trusted bank, which bank, right? And whether pay with a debit card or credit card, or whether I split it for smaller bills or only for the big bills. So bank installments actually don't provide such a flexibility to them. So number two, convenience and transparency is super important, especially for those digital savvy young generations. And also with the context of COVID, right? Financial pressure increases and they also want to control their spending even better than the past. So on this front, we do see that traditional installment plans charge users interest and servicing fee. Versus in the case of Atome, it is completely free and no hidden fee at all. So all the terms are transparent and then set it very clearly upfront so that you can choose what you want to do. And then second is for us, we charge a lot on the user experience. So the registration process is very simple and in a very short manner, like only 60 seconds, 90 seconds, you can do everything. So then for the traditional installment plans, it can be like quite complicated, right? Not mentioning if you really want to apply for some of the credit increase through some banks, probably it takes a bit of longer time. So in the case of Atome, we do think that this simple process and also a transparency gives them a better experience. So they would like to stay with us. And then the last one is consumers are very savvy at this moment. So they are very keen to explore the perks. Atome provide a collaborative, exclusive promotion with the merchants, including ZALORA. And Atome also added value by providing the loyalty program. So Atome itself, when you purchase, then you can accumulate points and then redeem, further offerings, discounts. And at the same time, right, quite a few savvy customers realize that they can even stack and then continue to enjoy the points and credits provided by banks when linking their bank cards. So actually, this is the very much added value on fulfilling them to enjoy more value to fulfill their shopping need.
Yeah, we love a good value. Actually, you guys have a really cool campaign, the Atome Kittens. That one is one of my favorites with all the cats.
We launched this campaign mid of year. We launched it we hope that it's launched during the GSS, but unfortunately because of COVID, again, it's uncertain, right? So however, we still launch it because we want to give a bit of shopping entertainment experience to the users before the really, really big season comes. And it proves that people are really, really craving for this kind of shop-tainment experience. So the campaign is very much resonating and we receive a lot of very positive feedback and participations.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned shoppertainment, because that's like a huge, like, I think the topic now, and especially in terms of e-commerce, trying to blur the lines between content and commerce. What are your thoughts on where this is going? I know it's not in our question set, but the fact that you brought that up, I just wanted to like jump on it. I think we're definitely like we're on the same track here. What are your thoughts on live streaming, and how does buy now pay later also complement live streaming and shoppertainment in that sense?
This is a very interesting one. Actually, we also learn a lot through our consumer focus group and co-creation with the Gen Z and millennials, right? People know that the online service, online purchase, when people staying home, they want to do shopping, right? Shopping is a bit of like relaxing activity sometimes. However, we also hear some frustrations from the consumers. They say like it becomes so routine, and shopping, exploring those double digit days like 2233, 5566 becomes quite routine, right? Like no surprise at all. So that's why we created this. We discovered this is unmet need and pain point of the young generations now. They stay home, they feel very bored, and then they want something like fun inside of the shopping. However, it's not as joyful as it was where you still have choice, navigating in the offline stores, etc. So that's why we say, oh, let's bring back the joy where you are shopping, right? Shopping should be a fun thing. Shopping should not be some of like a grocery, like purchase, pick, and then I just check out. So that's why we actually designed the way in 3 different ways. The first one is actually we want to use a very unconventional face. So, just to set up the context and warm up, say, hey, actually, welcome to New World, right? We use the 3 Atome kittens actually as a face, and then we started with a jingle. And then the Atome kittens sing like a rap, own it, etc. So it opens mind and the passion of the young generations. And then the second one is when we provide those discounts or the offerings, it's still very important. It's still important, but we provide in the way that we also provide more discovery content. For example, in the content we create in the TikTok hashtag challenge, we invited those influencers to interact with the Atomic Kittens. The Atomic Kitten asked the influencers, ask the consumers like, what do you want to buy? Why do you need this, etc. Right? So this kind of conversation with interesting face actually create a lot of like a new experience to the consumer. So this is definitely number 2 that we are doing differently. And then number 3 is we don't want the routine things happen. So we do a lot of like surprise drop in the app, right? So you can check in, see Atome here, there, and then with Atome, actually with Atome Kitten, actually there is something surprising falling down and then into the app. So, Gen Zs are like a gamification, right? So they look for this kind of excitement. So when they log into the app, they are not only looking for the option, the offerings, they are not only looking for the discounts, even without the discounts, with this fun element, they still enjoy. So I think this is why when we create this shoptainment, it's more than just running a live streaming. It's more than just, just using some faces. I think fundamentally, we provide some of the mechanics for the young generations to fulfill their need of enjoy the shopping itself.
Yeah, I love that. Especially, with shopping should be seen as like an enjoyment, an enjoyable activity, but payment is also an enjoyment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you guys bring the joy to payment.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I don't know if you know, but Atomic Kitten is also a British girl band.
Oh, yeah, we know.
So it resonates a lot with me. I used to listen to Atomic Kitten.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So I love that. So, again, going back into how, with everyone going online, live streaming, and online shopping and all that. But with our region, and I want to highlight this because our region is very different from the rest, it's the fact that we have countries like Indonesia and they have, villages, rural, remote areas, actually. The Philippines, and even Malaysia. It's so vast, and I guess the level of internet penetration isn't as equal as you thought or it would be. But it's a bit of a double-edged sword. What the pandemic has done is also show that digital poverty is still very much a reality here, despite the digital acceleration. Now, my question for you is, how much of this will actually impact, buy now, pay later providers?
I think number one, right? When you mentioned the digital connectivity, definitely is a very real issue happening across the Asian countries, and I think the affection, the impact goes beyond only buy now pay later providers. So for consumers, digitalization can definitely significantly improve their standard of living through the technology and tools to grant them access to better products and the services, knowledges. And so, for example, buy now pay later provide them the new access. Number two, I think what we try to do, right, as a buy now pay later, is actually we want to equalize the world by providing more accessibility. So when the name itself, Atome, actually not a lot of people understand actually if we break down the word itself, is available to me. So what's available to me, right? We say it's access. We say it's advice for you to shopping. And in the end, we provide aspiration for you to achieve the lifestyle that you pursue. So at this front, I think, although the infrastructure constraint is still there, but we also, from the product itself, we have a lot of room to do for the consumers, no matter to improve the consumer experience registration through a shorter and simpler process. So probably when they finish the install and the registration, they don't need to spend like 10 minutes in it, right? Because the digital connectivity is an issue. So we provide just a necessary know your customer process so that they can enjoy our service. And also, I think it definitely requires improvement and investment to solve the problem fundamentally, right? These definitely are the common efforts from the government and also the private sectors. So on the private sectors, for example, Atome, so we are part of the large group called the Advanced Intelligence Group. So one of our sister units works with the traditional banks and financial services to drive the financial inclusion and access to traditional financial services in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
So Atome's involvement with ZALORA is quite of a game changer within this region. How does that come into play, and why did you choose ZALORA to partner with?
So first of all, actually we are very conscious about choosing strategic partners. So we definitely want to choose a partner that drives the similar objective, no matter from the focus, the customer segment, no matter from the value system or the way of driving the business, right? So on this upfront, actually, ZALORA holds a very similar, like we want to deliver more inclusive options, solutions, and we want to push the growth more sustainably. So this is number one, why we choose ZALORA. Number two is once we fix, say, from the mentality perspective, we treat each other as a very strategic partner. So we align a more sustainable, like long-term collaboration. So whatever you have seen that we collaborate with ZALORA across different Asian markets, right? We do very sustainable lift up month to month. Not just to say, okay, today I have money, you have money, we're pulling something, and then tomorrow we move away, right? So we say this is a long-term collaboration. So you can see very steady, fast collaboration. Starting from the first month, we collaborate together, and then we sustain all the efforts along the way. And definitely, we are still continuing. So by doing this, what I really mean is all the resources, for example, the data insights, for example, the resources, no matter our app traffic or ZALORA's customer base, actually we co-share. It's not share the private data, but it's co-share those kind of user flow, right? User journey. And then we also co-design the mechanics based on the data insights that works best for both interests. So as a result itself, we actually see a steady growth on the sales, on the ABS increase, and also the new customer increase. So For example, we do see that after the launch together with ZALORA, 70% growth in ZALORA customers using Atome in first a few weeks. So which actually also mentioned by ZALORA's leadership team as a very big achievement. And we also see that Buy Now Pay Later definitely delivers a higher ABS to the, in general, fashion merchants, like above 30% ABS. Of course, ZALORA also had a similar level of the increase. We also track very quickly what is the percentage that we drive as a new customer to merchant, right? So we see a range from the 30% to 50% to those fashion merchants, which largely falls into young demographic. And also, because I mentioned it's a more sustainable way of driving the growth, we do see a very much sustainable CAGR, the growth rate month to month, above 50% in the very continuous months. So I think this is the way that we test together, we learn together, and also collaborate together. In addition, I also want to mention, right, ZALORA is seen as a very much a platform providing a wide variety. However, actually, we also identify that luxury fashion is also one of the opportunities ZALORA want to develop. And then ZALORA invites us as a partner to together drive this. So we did run some of the campaigns together to educate, to provide the discovery component, no matter in Atome or in ZALORA platform. And we also provide education how the users can leverage Buy Now Pay Later to try their purchase in ZALORA for the luxury items. So that campaign also proven a very big success.
All in the name for flexibility and inclusivity.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, financial inclusion is definitely something I think it's kind of on the rise now. But what you guys are doing at Atome, I think it's a brilliant initiative, especially, you're empowering communities that haven't really had that much of an opportunity to kind of grow and develop. And, perhaps maybe at some point sooner than later, now with Buy Now Pay Later, that means that, the communities in rural and remote areas are even more sophisticated, so everyone is going in tandem at the same time. And then maybe in the future, we'll be able to pull ourselves out into a better recovery and all that. We'll maybe even have holograms by 2 years time. You just never know. But I think that's the whole context of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We also look forward to a brighter future. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Vangie. That was a really amazing conversation and really interesting insights as well.
Thank you so much, Amy. I think I also enjoyed the conversation. A lot of questions really were very deep consideration. And definitely, I think Atome is also focusing on driving engagement with the consumers and supporting the success of the merchants so that we can, improve our service and we can definitely deliver a better future, more inclusive future for all the people.
Yep, inclusivity is key here. And also Atomic Kittens. Give us more
Yay!
Atomic Kittens. Thank you, Vangie.
Thank you, Amy.
Really such a real cool conversation.